A lot of times when our energy gets off, we're usually like slipping on a couple things and a couple things, and then it adds up to a lot more things. And so that's why, for yourself as the CEO, Chief Energy Officer, it's like really making sure you are having those rhythms set in place. And usually it's yourself that starts to slip, and then the team's like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. And then they start to slip.
Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co-host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way. Welcome back to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast, and I am having one of our favorite return guests, Dr. Rachel Hovey, who is one of our great coaches. So welcome. Happy 2026, Dr. Rachel. Good to see you today.
Likewise.
Awesome. And we were just chatting offline for a moment here about how important it is to start the year on the right foot. And, we spent a lot of time at the end of the year. Hopefully you were along with us on this journey of like rounding out the year, looking backwards, seeing where did we come in 12 months? How did 2025 shake down? Where are we going in 2026? Where do we want to be in quarter one? And so as we start to put one foot in front of the other in quarter one, how do we make sure that all the team is coming out of the holidays and getting well placed for January to be a very productive month and set the year off on the right foot? So Rachel, I'm going to throw it to you and just say, first of all, how do you help your team stay focused, even coming through either challenging times or just a lot of stuff happening like we all have around the holidays?
Yeah. And Lona, you and I started talking about this, I think, because it's felt all over the place, whether you have a team of maybe you're a solo doc, literally all by yourself, and you have to, recreate that momentum, starting in the new year, or you have a team of 20 and it's all the things, getting everybody back on the same page and regroup and where did we land and where are we coming from? And so I think for me personally, I love how in TRP, we do where we were coming from, last, now, next, and future, and really spending time in those and not just a quick check sheet of, yeah, here's my stats, it was good, but really like diving into it and figuring out what did you do really good last year? What were some changes that you made, whether it was anything from, marketing your day one team. So I just love the, just diving into things and really picking it apart. And of course, again, no matter what you have in your team, I think for me, that helps because then I can help to guide them and be able to speak into some of the areas that we did really well and some things it's like, hey, that was easy, or that was kind of a challenge.
Mhm.
Um, so
Rachel,
that was
you said something right there that I want to double click on because I'm like, as you said that, I was like, ooh, we might have just hijacked the podcast right here of where we really need to speak into this, because you said whether you're a team of one or there's multiples, like you have a check-in CA or a tech CA or possibly an associate DC, and now you're stewarding all of you into the new year with focus. It's like, let's just start with that team of one concept for a minute, because at the end of the day, all of us are stewarding our own focus first and foremost. And if we're unfocused or we're not feeling like we're anchored in, that can be really challenging for the rest of the team. And many times I think DCs project their own lack of focus and blame their team for some of that, right? So again, whether you're a one-man show right now or you are one or two or three or four person operation, Rachel, how do you keep yourself in rhythms that help you be, yes, awareness of where I've come from, but also, maybe last week wasn't our best week. Maybe we had a down quarter. And how do I just pick myself back up and know I'm looking at data and I'm moving forward and here's what I'm going to do so that I don't get stuck in low momentum?
And I think that's why we keep rhythms and we keep what we do. We know why we do what we do, right? And so a lot of times when our energy gets off, it's, we're usually like slipping on a couple things and a couple things, and then it adds up to a lot more things. And so that's why, for yourself as the CEO, Chief Energy Officer, it's like really making sure you are having those rhythms set in place. And usually it's yourself that starts to slip, and then the team's like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. And then they start to slip. And so, yes, of course, it can be more challenging if you're solo, but maybe that's not really true either, because, sometimes you still have to bring it and help 20 people to have
Yeah.
their energy with things. So I think it's doing the things you know really well to keep doing the things you know really well. And usually that's the basic stuff. Morning huddles, checking in with everyone. What's the thermostat of the clinic at right now? What kind of sucks and how can we call that out too?
Mhm.
Um, I think that's a big thing is I like to just call stuff out. Be like, this wasn't the best, but it's okay. So how can we figure that out? And how do we, pivot instead of just not talking about it?
Yes. And regain focus, right? Because we are creatures that are energetic. And so if the energy is down, right,
Mhm.
we want to have awareness to it so we can change it without also spending so much time talking about what's not working that we've created more momentum behind what's not working. Um,
Right.
we just put on an event this last weekend here that was a philosophical event. And part of the reason I did that is to help. I have newer teammates, I have older teammates. I'm like, we all just need an event to come to where we're getting doused in our chiropractic philosophy so we all can be vibrating a little more cohesively on a mission together. And that's one of my favorite ways to make sure that the energy stays high is like getting us on purpose through going, and hearing other like-minded chiropractors speaking the truth of chiropractic. And at the same time, now having a larger team, it's like shepherding people in the right direction. But I have to reflect back since this is Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. We're not the CEO podcast that in the beginning so much of it was a mental game within myself. Like, did I always want to do the things that I knew were good habits? This could be everything from making sure, like Rachel said, that the huddle happens when we say the huddle is going to happen and it happens focused, or making sure that the garbage go out at night. So you're not starting the morning with garbage sitting there from leftover from the day before. And I had a mentor that really hammered it into me that we need to do things to the point of drudgery sometimes in order to create the habit that actually then feels easy and fluid, right? So if you're in this first season or two of launching and building, you got to build that muscle and that stamina and that momentum. And sometimes it is sticking to a rhythm, even when it's easier to just say, oh, I think I'm going to go check my phone or going to go scroll on Facebook or
Mhm.
Instagram or whatever, right? So I don't know, some thoughts on that. Like if you reflect back, Rachel, now that we're
Mhm.
not brand new in this season of practice, like where did you really have to course correct your own energy at times so that you could create this higher volume family practice?
Yeah. And when it comes to that too, I think, when I think back to when I was a solo doc and I'm like, I'm gonna grind so I can get to the point of like having another associate on the team. There's just times where you have to really channel when your energy is high to just like really feed off that and be like, all right, and I just like let that go. I like let that flow happen. And it was just really there. And then it was like maybe there's a day where it's like, okay, then I'm just gonna do some catch up, right? So I think I don't know why I'm saying this, but that's what I really thought of. It was just like understanding when I could just like push, 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 but
Mhm,
then just like breathe for a couple days and then push, 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 and then
mhm.
breathe for a couple days. And I think that's in the beginning how you kind of can help your energy to stay up high too, because we're not gonna be on 100%, and
Right.
then that is okay, but yes, push, 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 and keep that going. That can really, get those big jumps there.
Yeah, I think that's great. And for newer practitioners that maybe haven't had that discussion enough or really thought about the ebb and flow of their days and their weeks, for a lot of us, that's why we set up the days we set up, right? Where like patients will be like, well, why do you have this big gap for lunch? Right. And it's like, it's not because we like to eat for 2.5 hours. It's because when you're in high volume flow, it's a lot to keep everyone focused so that it can feel efficient, it can feel fluid, it can feel like everybody's getting high fived and great energy and we can have the right things happen in those 3-hour sprints, I'm going to say, so that you can come back from lunch focusing, get the back end of things, get the meetings done, get the huddles prepped so that
Mhm.
we can do that sprint again. And so even in a day, there's like seasons of ebb and flows of when we're, I'm going to say, yeah, pushing versus like, oh, okay, like, oh, there's a little rest time here.
Yeah,
And that's
and
by
I
design.
mean because yeah, for sure, and I think the fun thing about having a team, even if it's only one other person there, is, like, you guys can do that together and celebrate the wins, the little wins and the big wins throughout the day, the week, the month, and keep that up high.
Right. And if you're a doc listening to this and you're like, I don't feel like there's a lot of wins to celebrate right now, right? Like
Sure, yeah.
maybe it's been a tough quarter and I'm getting worried. Like I'm in a place of fear, like my practice isn't growing as well as I thought, or my teammate and I aren't on the same page, that is a tough place to live, right?
Mhm.
And it's also one of those reasons why the awareness of like, is this tone that we're in going to get me to where I'm going? And if the answer is no,
Right.
then what are some things you need to do? Well, maybe I need to train my staff better. Or maybe I need to have that team meeting that I keep saying we're going to have and we don't have it. And we need to consistently make it live on your schedule so that we can get back on the same page.
Mhm.
I think back to your original suggestion is like, it's the rhythms that help keep the energy forward moving, right?
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and like you said, everybody goes through the season of, "Oh, crap," like, "Oh, things are low, numbers are down," like, we all it all happens, right?
Mhm.
And usually the biggest, like, hiccup with that is living right on the edge of your brain, you just know it, and it's just, like, kind of like I said, calling that out and being like, "Okay, where am I missing? Where am I dropping the ball? What do I know works really well?" And just getting back to that again too.
Yeah. In
Mhm,
TRP, and this might be something that in this podcast we can drop a link below for those of you that aren't in TRP. Looking at our grid, the accountability grid is one of the most useful tools I think that we have because it helps you look at those domains of, is my issue, is the reason why the momentum isn't where I want it to be a team building issue? Is it a money collection issue? Is it a conversion issue? It really gives us those attraction, conversion, retention, team building, money domains, and then fleshes out where you can kind of give yourself a grade. So just like it's a kid going to school, if they're doing great in 5 of their classes, but 2 of their classes they're not doing well, where do you get them the tutor? The
right.
classes they're not doing well in, right? So I think for many of us, we've never been able to see deep enough into like where does the problem lie? And we think it's one thing when it's actually upstream from it or downstream. And that in and of itself can be part of what bleeds momentum from a team is that we all are trying really hard, but we actually haven't identified the real issue or we haven't been had the courage to really address what needs to be addressed, which is a tough place to live, right?
Yeah, and that's why I really love, and we're not just saying this as coaches, but truthfully, the accountability grid, I mean, you fill it out every quarter in your practice, but it's sometimes it's surprising, like, what comes up and you're like, "Oh, yeah, that is something I need to focus on right now," or, "I haven't put much attention into it," and that's another cool way to just see some things that sometimes just get missed.
Yeah, that's
Mm,
really good. The other
yeah.
part is dialing back into like if as Rachel said, we're the energy officer for the practice, the chief energy officer for the practice. Even if you're a team of one, you are for sure the chief energy officer of your practice, even if you don't feel like a CEO. And so when your energy's up, generally the team's energy is up. The practice members are coming in. The attractive force behind everything that we do is moving in the right direction. And when our energy gets flat, or there's maybe reasons why we're slightly deficient, then generally the practice is not quite as strong either, right? And so the question to ask yourself, because it does take effort, but it's not any, it's an internal action step, is to just really curate like where have I been focused, right?
Mm,
Like where am I allowing my thoughts to go? If I'm being truthful with myself, am I spending more time thinking about the problem and the lack and the like what's not going well versus
mhm,
all the things that went really well? And if we can even be 51% over that
mm,
line, right, we are doing the work internally because it is not always easy to focus on the good, right? We could have a great day in practice. 100 people came and saw us. And what do most practitioners do? They focus on the 7 people who no-showed their appointment or the one person that wasn't doing well that day and was mad about something.
sure.
Right?
Mhm,
Our brains are wired on some level to keep us safe, and I think that's part of the reason why it's hard at times to, like, rewrite that ship of, like, "But 100 people came in here today and loved what we did," right? Now let's say you're brand new in practice. Let's say 7 people came in today, right? But you didn't hit 10, and you were really trying to hit 10.
yep,
And but 7 came in, and that 7 are tentacles out in the community that if you serve them really well because you're focused on the 7 instead of the lack of the 3, it's a completely different vibe in your practice. That is the work that no one can do for you,
mm,
and I dare say is almost more important than almost anything you do, is to keep that ship righted in your mind, which is a constant thing, right?
yep. Yep. Yeah, I was, like, smiling through that whole conversation because it's so true,
Right.
and it as simple as that sounds, it can be hard to, like,
Oh,
really redirect that sale, and like you said, even get 51 to 49 can be
yeah.
a challenge, right?
Yes. I'll use a personal example from this weekend. So we had this seminar that we put on. My team did a beautiful job. I got so many compliments about how gracious they were, how great they were at, I think Clinic Mind said it was like military execution with a smile on their face. And I was like, that's amazing, right? And we had one person who did not love the seminar. That was very, they didn't like some of the RFK Junior talk, things like that, right? And so it's like, okay, yes, I understand we're in a world right now that's quite polarized. And I didn't think it was offensive, but I wasn't that person, right? So, and I really had an annoyance with myself how much I thought about that one person after
Right.
the great event was done. It was awesome, but it was just a good reminder how like you're never done rewriting your mind on things, right? It's
Mhm.
like that's the meditation of life, if you will, of like when we're building practices, when we're raising kids, when we're hosting something, is like when we can recognize that our energy influences the outcomes of all of it, right?
Mhm.
And us being practice owners, we certainly have a lot of influence over a lot of the success of our business, right?
Mhm.
That ability to mind your own mind and
Mhm.
pull out the weeds where they are is the work, right? And
Yep.
so many people benefit from that work. And you're never done with it. It's like the garden comes up next year and you got
Mm.
to weed again, right?
Yep, exactly, right. I always, like, joke too with some of the clients that we coach and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, things are, like, really good, like, really easy," and it's like, "Okay, just wait next week," you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't mean
Yes.
but sometimes, like, the problems never go away. That,
Right.
like, it never there's never end point. It's just a new challenge, and you gotta be grateful for problems because that's usually something's trying to surface to,
Yes.
be shown to you, so
Yeah, and reflecting on this past weekend of again, like the focus of the team, like my team handled things so well. It was more me criticizing myself of like, where did I let my energy go in that interaction? My team did a really good job, and it is one of those things where it's just a reflection point. It doesn't have to be anything other than okay, this is I see it and I can move forward and here we go, right? So after the seminar, someone had planted a little like Gilles LaMarche from Life University had left me a little thing that was like essentially like a message of just keep going, even when it's hard, just keep going. And I thought this is just beautiful timing because I was feeling that momentum shift in me, probably also down regulating from a big event. But to
Mhm.
just, we just don't realize how a word of encouragement, and that might be to ourselves or from somebody that gives us encouragement, especially as CEOs. I think we generally learn like we have to encourage our team and want to pour into them, but also like this is part of the reason why we need coaching is we need to be surrounded by other people that have similar challenges. To your point, Rachel, like similar problems. It's not like you can necessarily go to your check-in CA and get that advice from her. You're not going to. You're
Mhm.
not in the same mindset potentially. So what he had left me, I just thought like, oh, that was divine timing that I read that as I was trying to pull my own mind right where I wanted it, right? And so I think I just share that because I think we can feel very isolated sometimes if we're the only one running practices, we're not surrounded by other chiropractors, we're not growing teams with other people, that can make the momentum really slow down too, and how
Yeah,
important it is for us, yeah, to stay together.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
Cool. Any last thoughts as far as like for anyone listening that's like, I got to get my team reorganized or I got to get myself focused? Like, what would you tell them to do this week?
Yeah, I think, just even reflecting on what you just said too, is having the village with you and pulling together, even when things aren't great. Maybe it's like, okay, it's just low. It's low energy, it's low, whatever it is, new patients, conversions, all that good stuff. But like, be like, oh, well, we're just going to pull out the 10 things every shift that was like a win and just end our
Mhm.
day that way. Or, maybe that's like I said, just got to redirect that energy with it. And then I think too, like making sure you're talking to other chiropractors and business owners and have your team. Obviously, we're a coaching group, so that's huge for us. But that's been be able to create for me has been like, okay, that's fine, let's go. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But having your team within your team and your team outside of your team, that's your team to
Yeah.
be all you,
Yeah.
right?
Tribe, they're very different circles, but tribes that overlap on some level. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think just keep going, right? Like it isn't going to be perfect.
Mhm.
And to your point, like if you feel isolated, like find those tribes, right? If you are especially a team of one or a team of two or three, all the more important to have people either in your local chiropractic community, your state chiropractic community, your TRP chiropractic community that are go to resources for you. I think that's a critical piece of us doing this thing called chiropractic business. And
Right.
we're here for you as great resources. We'd love to also see you at an immersion. So that might be my action step is there's no reason for you to stay isolated, that we would love to see you at the Phoenix immersion and invite you as our guest to check it out if you're looking for a tribe that can help you build your business.
Love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Rachel, always a pleasure to get to connect. And I
You.
love the authenticity of just the realness of, yeah,
Mhm.
there's going to be problems and we're going to get through them. And they're going to be the stepping stones to go into the next iteration. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.